Hi, cherished viewers out there. You're welcome once again to GCL Tutorials, and I believe you enjoyed the last lesson we had on environmental problems and the meaning of environment itself. You remember we spoke about the two types of environment, which are the physical environment and the social environment. And we went further to look at the components of the environment, and we put them under categories that we call classifications. And we saw the biosphere, we saw the lithosphere, the anthrosphere, and the cryosphere. All these are classifications of the Earth. And I am sure you enjoyed that lesson and you were able to make good notes out of that. If you couldn't, the video is still on YouTube. You can always view it and make your notes. Post your questions and your comments and your concerns in the comment box, and I will address them, and we will enjoy ourselves here on this channel. Thank you for liking, thank you for subscribing, thank you for being with me once again. Today, I would like us to move forward to look at something very important as part of the topic I introduced the last time: environment and environmental problems. Today I would like us to look at the environmental problems, and I'm sure you agree with me that environmental problems are mainly caused by human activities. A lot of activities take place on this earth that we are responsible for. Things that we do, are these things posing a lot of threats to our waterways? Are they posing a lot of threats to our vegetation, the trees, the plants we have around us? What about domestic and wild animals? That is why you need to follow closely as we look at environmental problems. Out of this, we can say that environmental problems can also be as a result of the degradation. Don't worry about that word degradation. We will break it down and you understand. Good. Environmental degradation. This is mainly due to human activities. That is to say that there are other things that could lead to the degradation of our environment, or the components of our environment. What then is degradation? I'll use two words to break this down. So there is a reduction in two things. The components of the environment have a quantity and they also have a quality. We know what trees serve. As we talked about their usefulness, we know what the highlands do. We know what wild animals or domestic animals, and we can also talk about our atmosphere, our surrounding air. So we can use the quantity to refer to the amount of whatever component we are talking about. Then we can also talk about the quality, their usefulness, the value. Are they valuable? Are they helping us? Are we depending on them? What satisfaction are they giving to us? The trees, the animals we have, and even the surrounding air. When the surrounding air reduces in quantity and quality, then environmental degradation is likely to occur. When our trees, our vegetation reduces in quantity and in quality, then we say environmental degradation has occurred. Good. I hope you were able to get that. Follow me closely. Don't get confused. The whole thing here is to summarize the lesson for you to understand. When you get this picture, you can put all these words together and form sentences. And the sentences will become a vivid description of the term environmental degradation. So the arrows are just to give you the breakdown of the terms or the keywords. Now let's look at the meaning. If there is a reduction in the quantity and quality of what? So we can say that good. Now let's look at the meaning. Environmental degradation refers to the reduction that occurs in the quantity and quality of the components of the environment, the trees, the surrounding air, which is the atmosphere, our highlands and lowlands. We can also talk about animals and even humans, because we are also part of the environment. These are the components. When they reduce in quality, that is their usefulness, their value, then degradation is likely to occur. When they also reduce in their quantity, the amount, for instance, you see people cutting down trees where they've planted them, trees that are not well grown. We can refer to them as virgin trees. People cut them down anyhow. When that happens, you are likely to see a shortage in the amount of trees. That is referring to the quantity. So when we put these two words together, quantity and quality, we can form a statement and say that the reduction that occurs as far as this and this are concerned is what we refer to as environmental degradation. I hope you got that definition. Good. Now, let's move further. When it comes to environmental degradation, they have their types. In social studies, we will consider only 3. In science, they may consider 4. Social studies will be looking at air as a major component of the earth, and I hope you agree. We will consider water as one of the major components. These are basic to human life, and we need them at all times. And then we have land, since every activity of man almost takes place on the land. Do you agree with me? Good. Now, so we can say that there are 3 forms of environmental degradation. There are 3 forms of environmental degradation. There are 3 forms of environmental degradation. Namely, air pollution, water pollution, and land pollution, or you can say land degradation. That would be appropriate. You can still say land pollution. You can also say land degradation. But with water and air, just stick to water pollution, air pollution. Good. You add this, what I just said, to the definition when you are being asked to explain the point. So if the question is, explain environmental degradation. Environmental degradation refers to the reduction that occurs in the quantity and quality of the components of the environment. You bring your full stop, then you construct another statement. There are 3 forms of environmental degradation, or in other words, the 3 forms of environmental degradation are air pollution, water pollution, and land degradation or land pollution. Let me put that in a spidergram form for you in case of summary. So we have environmental degradation, the forms, we have our air pollution, we have our water pollution, then the third, the land pollution. In science, you may also come across noise pollution, but for the sake of this subject and the topic, we'll consider these 3. Good. This must also be defined. This must also be defined, and so as land pollution or degradation. We've already established that there is a reduction in the quantity and quality. This could be that there is a reduction in the quantity and quality of air, the quantity and quality of water, the quantity and quality of the land. Let me give you an example in a scenario. If we release poisonous gases, or if you burn refuse, the smoke contaminates the air and makes it impure for breathing. When that happens, you don't enjoy that air again. So the quality of the air has been affected. Let's come to water. If people engage in illegal mining, or people go close to water bodies and dump refuse in it or in them, when that happens, the water may get choked, or the river may get choked. If it's a lake, it will become stagnant because of the refuse in them. And what is going to happen? It will dry up. Talking about land, if people go on a portion of land and they decide to fetch that portion and use it to construct their roads and also use it to build, that part of the land, we may not have it for the purposes that we are supposed to use them for. If it's a farmland, the land is going to reduce in terms of its fertility, and that is quality, reduction in quality. Talking about the size of the land, that is also going to be what? Reduced, and that will fall under quantity. I hope you get these scenarios. And there are so many things that you have watched on telly, on the internet. You have also experienced in your neighborhood. People do too. These three major components of our environment. That's good. Keep on observing, and we'll get to know what you can do and what I can also do to control or prevent such things from happening. Good. What then is air pollution? So we can define air pollution the situation whereby our surrounding air is made impure. Our surrounding air is made impure. Water pollution. When our water bodies are made impure and they are contaminated, then we can describe that situation as water pollution. I will tell you how this could happen, but I'm sure some ideas have started popping up in your mind, and you really understand and you are following the lesson. Let's go to land degradation. This is a situation where our land reduces in quality and quantity, mainly due to human activities. And I believe you know such activities that can lead to the reduction in the quantity of land. Let's come and do a quick recap. Air pollution is one of the forms of environmental degradation, and it creates a problem, and that problem is classified as environmental problem. Good, I hope you follow. So we're looking at environmental problems, which can be described as environmental degradation, where there is a reduction in quantity and quality of the components of the environment, and they are put under three main categories. 1, air pollution. 2, water pollution. 3, land degradation. The surrounding air becomes impure through so many activities. Fumes from factories. We have bush burning, where people set fire in bushes, especially hunters do that mostly. Families who go to farm and they cook on their farmlands. After that, they don't put out the fire, they leave it, and then the bush catches fire. You see that the smoke will release into the atmosphere. Those who live close to industrial areas, you see a lot of the industrial activities releasing poisonous gases into the atmosphere. Areas around Tema, where we have Tema oil refinery, where we have these factories producing a lot of gases into the atmosphere when they are preparing the diesel, the petrol, with the crude oil. Those are some of the things that can make our air impure. Even dust. Water pollution. When people dump refuse into water bodies, they don't dispose the refuse properly. You know what is going to happen to the water. At a point, it becomes smelly because of the refuse. The plastic that are being dumped into the water body release, or they get eroded into the water. And these plastics or objects or items are made with so many chemicals. And that is going to make the water impure. And we know how water is useful. People depend on these rivers for their domestic activities. They use them for washing, bathing, and at times they drink them. Even we in the city who don't go to fetch water from these rivers and use them for cooking and other things, we know very well that these rivers are to be tapped and be purified for us to have water supply. Good. Land degradation. With land degradation, we know about sand winning, where people fetch a portion of the land, they fetch the topsoil, use the sand for building and construction. We can also talk about the bush burning. Even though it causes air pollution, it also causes land degradation as well. What is going to happen is that the vegetative cover is going to be burned and it will be removed, and the land will be left bare. The fire that has been set can also destroy or kill the living organisms that form part of the topsoil, the humus, and make it fertile, and it will render the soil infertile. Good. Now, we can also talk about quarrying, where they break rocks, break stones, and use them for building and construction. This mostly takes place on our highlands or even mountains. How about illegal mining? If you are not familiar with that, check the internet. You can get so many pictures on how our lands are being degraded. It's a serious situation in the part of our world where we find ourselves, and we can testify to the fact that the illegal mining or the mining around water bodies and even what we do on land to fetch small particles of gold that we call alluvial gold have also led to a lot of erosion and loss of soil fertility. Mining can also affect our water bodies in a sense that if we are using chemicals to sieve the alluvial gold out of the mud, these chemicals are going to drip into the water or spill into the water, and the chemicals, the mercury, the cyanide, are going to also pollute our water bodies. And when that happens, the water bodies become very impure or contaminated for us. And as we continue to do this, we have forgotten that we are the same people who are going to use all these components, and we are going to survive with them. But if we destroy them, how then can we have them in place for the future generation? Viewers, in today's lesson, we'll be looking at environmental problems, environmental degradation. We'll look at the 3 forms of environmental degradation. We'll define them appropriately, and we'll be able to also mention what cause the activities that cause these forms of pollution. And I believe that when you go through your textbook, you can have more examples. And I am hoping that we will sit down as citizens and start putting ideas together on how to control all these things. Our government must help us, and the law enforcement agencies on environment should step in and make sure that people don't cut trees indiscriminately, and then they don't remove the vegetative cover, that's the trees and the plants, because we need them. We need them for the oxygen, and we need them to also shield the land so that the direct sun will not cause the land to become desert. This is what time will allow us for today. It's been a great time being with you here at JCL Tutorials, and I believe you enjoyed today's lesson. In our next meeting, we'll be looking at something different. If you still have any challenge relating to environment and environmental problems, why not? You can still submit them. We'll look at them, and there will be a good revision that you understand this thing thoroughly. Anytime questions are set on these areas, you should be able to answer them appropriately. Thanks for your time. Thanks for watching. Let your friends also have access to this video. Invite them to like, share, that those also who haven't watched yet can also benefit. Thanks for your time once again, and I'll say bye-bye. See you another time.